Okay.
Good morning. Let's begin the Commissioners' meeting for April 20th, 2026. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the full board here today, so there is a quorum. We have a payroll. Anybody have any changes, modifications?
No.
I'll move that we approve the payroll.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And what about the claims and vouchers?
No changes.
Changes.
All right. I'll move that we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. We also had the clerk report, and has everybody had a chance to look at that?
Yes.
Make note that that has been reviewed. Then we had the minutes from the April 6th meeting. Any changes or modifications?
I had one question. I noticed on the Ian Daniel thing, it said that we talked about, let's see, the chip seal request. It says Pazer scoring. But the scoring we were talking about was the rock to chip seal.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we should, I'm sorry, I didn't catch it sooner.
Did we do, I don't recall, did we talk about pages too?
We don't do
We
Pazer
don't
scoring.
do paper scoring on gravel roads.
Okay,
It was our rock to chip
I
seal.
just listen to what you're saying.
Scoring
and I
system.
copy your sentence, so that's fine.
so the way it was written here, Commissioner Huss discussed the Pacer scoring system and where the road is assessed on the list. Okay, so it should be,
What is that chip, the rock to chip seal scoring system?
It's pretty much what it's called, is the score sheet.
so how about this, modify it by taking out the word Pacer?
I think
That
so.
ought to do it, because that's just the scoring system.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Just put a line on
Yeah.
there.
put a line through it, and,
I'll take care of later.
just widen it out or whatever. So with the ones with a single modification, I'll move that we approve the regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do the highway report. Superintendent Leakin is not available today. He's doing another event, so Mr. Leffert is going to do both reports, I believe.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Levi Leffert, County Highway Engineer. Start off with the superintendent's report. Donnie wanted to note that as of April 15th, the freeze thaw ordinance was lifted, which initially began on January 15th of 26. Paint and glass beads. We sent out a request for quotes for the paint that will be needed for the asphalt roads. We'll be getting paid this year along with our paint markings that need to be refreshed that are in poor condition. So we do this once a year, send out quotes, we get quotes back, and then we recommend the low bidder request commissioner approval on that. We received bids from UB Clem / Tyler Schmidt, Jasper Industrial Supply, Potter Industries, and Enos Flint Incorporated. The low bid for the paint was Enos Flint in the amount of $32,527. I would like to, and then the low bid for the glass beads was from, make sure I got this right. Was from Potter Industries in the amount of $4,640. So I would recommend approval of both of those quotes.
I don't have any issue with that, board.
No issues.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the paint and the glass beads purchases as presented.
So we don't have a report from him.
This here.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
For the 2026 in-house paving projects, those were advertised for bidding on April 16th. There are a total of 6 bid packages, which consist of 12 different roads that will be paved. This amounts to approximately 10.13 miles of paving. The roads that were included in those bidding packages were 450 North, Nikon Street Extension, 600 North, Mendel Lane, Newton Street, Santine Road, 150 North, Kestner Bridge Road, 925 South, 950 South, 200 West, and Cherry Street. These paving operations are scheduled to begin no earlier than June 1st of this year, and they must be completed by September 30th. The bids will be open at the next commissioners meeting on May 4th, and they will be read aloud. If any paving companies are interested in submitting a bid, they can reach out to the highway department, and I will get you the bid information. I want to give an update on Bridge 78. This is located at County Road 600 West and Division Road over Potomac River. We hired a contractor, which was Blankenberger Brothers Incorporated, to perform that work, consisting of a rigid deck overlay and semi-integral M-bank conversions. That bridge was closed on April 9th, and so far work is going as planned, and it is on schedule. The closure is anticipated to last up to 60 days. So you're going to be around early to mid-June before it opens. I will say the contractor is making efforts to reduce the overall closure duration. We understand that that is a big impact on the traveling public, so we'll do what we can to get it open sooner, but no promises. Of course, that closure time is dependent on any unforeseen circumstances or weather delays. And as a reminder, it is a full closure, so there is no access through that bridge. There will be portions of the bridge that will be removed, so you physically cannot get through it. Now, there is the county road, which is Division Road, and turns into County Road 620 West, just immediately north of that bridge. That intersection will remain open during the full duration of this project. Next bridge update is Bridge 107, which is located on St. Anthony Road North, approximately 0.27 miles south of Schnellville Road, along with Bridge 240, which is located on St. Anthony Road West, approximately 0.38 miles south of Schnellville Road. Both of these bridges were put out for bid as a bundled project, and they were awarded to CNR Construction. CNR provided an update to me last week, indicating that they plan to close the road or close the bridge on or around May 7th to begin the work. This work will consist of rigid deck overlays, and our bridge crews will install advanced closure signs sometime this week. I want to note that both bridges will be closed simultaneously. This is an effort to really, it's to help minimize the overall duration of a closure, but also an effort to reduce overall cost. And then the next bridge is 119 on Club Road, located 0.5 miles north of State Road 264. The bridge was closed on Monday, March 30 to begin demolition of the existing concrete deck and steel beams. Since that time, our in-house bridge crew has completed installation of the beams, rebar, deck pans, and concrete. The project is ahead of schedule, and the bridge is expected to reopen to traffic by the end of this week. We do have an upcoming bridge project after the Club Road Bridge is done, and that is planned on Du Bois Road Northeast, located approximately 1.3 miles north of Du Bois Cusco Road. This is a small bridge structure that is due for replacement, which will be new beams and deck. This is dependent on coordination with the school. I want to give them a call this week to see if that's going to be a significant impact since it is close to the school. If it is, we will postpone that to summer, and we'll have some other jobs so we can shuffle around. On 800 South, this is a gravel road located outside of the Holland-Huntingburg area. Wanted to let you know that calcium chloride was applied to that section of gravel road. This was part of the Crossvine Solar Project, had their contractor Burns and Mac apply that. And just so everyone's aware, calcium chloride is a liquid application that you apply to the road to help stabilize the road. And in doing that, it keeps your fines and dust together, so it also mitigates your dust. So it's really serving two purposes in one. It works well, but it does require routine application. And this was performed no cost to the county. It was Crossvine Solar's contractor that applied it. So.
On that, is that one of the videos somebody sent to us where it looks like they were spraying the road? Is that the calcium chloride?
It could have been that, or it could have been a water truck. They've been using water trucks to help keep dust down.
Because it appeared it was spraying on the side, the ditch areas of the road as well. It wasn't just on the road. It seemed like it was going up. Is calcium chloride going to hurt vegetation? I guess that's my question too.
If it's the calcium chloride, it should be sprayed just within the limits of the road
So
itself.
this may have been a water.
It may have been water. Water likely spray out and a little bit wider.
I will say on that particular road, I went and viewed it yesterday again because we've had so many different emails and questions. Somebody said, well, come sit out here and look at it. Okay, so I went up and I sat there and looked at it for a while. And I guess on Sunday, there wasn't as much activity probably as there is during the week. But I would say the road up to the Huffman House is passable and fine because it's paved, and then right after there it turns to rock. And there's obvious significant damage beginning. It's still passable. It just looks like a rough county rock road, but I know that you're keeping up with them, and I just think it's something we need to just continually be on, because if the public has to use it, we have to make sure it's safe. And I know I talked to Donnie Friday about it, that there are plans in place to keep it up. But for the public, it is going to be damaged. It's going to be a little worse than it has in the past, but we understand that. We're going to maintain it the best we can, and at the end of the project, it'll look as good or better than it was at the beginning of the project. So I just want people to know that we are keeping an eye on it. The superintendent's looking at it. You as the engineer are looking at it, and we understand what's going on, and we're taking care of it. And the other thing that was interesting about it is they're going to do the work. That they've caused damage. They're going to do the work to pay to fix it. And if we don't like it, they'll let us do the work and they'll pay us to do it. So one way or the other, if it doesn't get done to our liking, then they'll pay us to fix it. So just so people know that.
Next item is actually an NDOT project. This is the roundabout on State Road 64 and 162 intersection, commonly known as Brettsville Junction. NDOT project, I want to get an update on it because it impacts the county as a whole. And also I've received a lot of questions on it asking for updates. So I made a phone call last week to NDOT, and here's the information that they passed along. So the bid letting, which is the bid opening for the project, was held on April 15th, and the contract was awarded to Regal. Construction is anticipated to begin this summer. The maintenance of traffic is intended to maintain both lanes of travel in all directions, with the exception of a short-term closure on State Road 162 for a culvert replacement. So right now you've got 2 lanes each direction, all directions, 1 lane each direction, all directions. That traffic pattern will be the same as what it is now. Now you can expect some delays and reduced speed because you're going through a construction zone, but the way the project is being phased is to allow the traffic to continue through like that. So,
Which is different than how they originally were going to do it,
Yes.
where they were going to have alternative routes, but I think they've heard public feedback that wanted it to stay open, so they found a way to do it.
that's my understanding, was the project was delayed approximately a year in order to reconfigure the maintenance of traffic. So, which is good because that's hopefully less impact on our county roads. I do expect some additional.
Going around, we had that discussion.
It says that it'll be done by the end of the construction season. When would people expect that to be? October? Is that the end of the construction
I
season?
can't say. I really should have put by the end of the year.
Okay.
So the 2026 year, that is when that should be complete, pending any unforeseen circumstances. But Bridge Safety Improvement Project. This is the federal funding that we applied and were awarded for the guardrail safety improvements to various bridges throughout the county. Wanted to give an update on that. So about a month ago, the county submitted a request for proposals to NDOT's website. And we did receive some letters of interest from consultants. The county highway department will be scoring those internally this week. That scoring is based on criteria that NDOT gives us. And based on the best score, we will recommend a consultant. Want to note that it's important that this project stays on track because there is a tight and critical deadline to be entered into a contract with the consultant by August 1st. Sounds like we got a lot of time, but the way things play out in the process, we got to make sure it's staying streamlined. Otherwise, we forfeit that funding. So I just want to let you know we are on track.
And the amount of that funding again was what?
In total, it's just under $3.8 million.
Right.
That covers the engineering, the construction inspection, and the construction costs. Last item was not on my agenda, but I wanted to let you all know that I did attend the NACE conference, which stands for the National Association of County Engineers. They had that in Arlington, Texas last week. It was well attended with over 600 county engineers all across the nation, including Canada. Met a lot of people down there, learned a lot of things, bringing some ideas back to the county. Really is a good networking event. Talked to several county engineers that have their own in-house bridge crews, so I'm going to reach out to them, see what they're doing, see what works, see what doesn't work. Even though county engineers are all across the nation, we saw a lot of the same issues. So I got quite a bit out of that event, and glad I was able to attend. Any questions for me?
No, thank you.
I have a couple. I think in the last meeting, I watched it on the video because I had to leave early. There was a concern on 760 East. There was one out of the 12 landowners that didn't want to give a right of way, and so that excluded them from a road upgrade. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure what the resolution at the end of that was. Was the highway department, do you know, was the highway department going to reach out to homeowner or landowner number 12, or were we putting that on the citizens that wanted the road? Where were we at with that? Or maybe you remember?
I believe it was recommended if they could attempt to reach out, continue working with that landowner, and then the highway department would also make efforts to reach out to that landowner as well.
So dual efforts?
Yes,
Okay.
and we do intend on, whether that's stopping out there in person is likely what we'll end up doing.
Yeah, I drove that road too this weekend, and there are some nice homes out in that area, and it does look like an area where additional homes could be built.
It's unfortunate that the section of the road that is the narrowest is in the area where that individual will not sign over right away.
And it says right by I guess it would be the southern stop sign, that end of the build, or that end of the road?
Yeah, from where it tees into right there at the stop sign from that intersection, going north right to where the curve is. There's a 90-degree curve that stretched through there. He owns on both sides of the road for a portion of that, and then only on one side of the road for another portion of it.
Because that was going to be my next question, so I didn't have time to look at the map. If he only owned on one side, we could get additional on the other side. If he owns
Yeah,
both sides, then that wouldn't work. So I can see where those folks would put like an upgrade on their road, and it's not something we'd be opposed to, but I do appreciate I stand behind the board members here that stood by our policy. So we can't do something different right there. So hopefully we can work something out though for those people in the future. And then my final comment two comments, I guess. One, I guess Mr. Schneier and yourself and myself will have to meet on maybe talking about Bridge 56 again, so we can, I don't want to let that one sit too long, so we can come up with next actions on that. Do you agree that that's probably the next step, that we coordinate and make a decision of some sort? And is the full board aware of the situation?
I don't know that they are, so I can give a quick summary on it if you'd like me to.
How about you just do it this week sometime? I don't know that now is
15th Street.
No, this is one northeast Du Bois. So I think it'd be better, just maybe you catch up with them, so it might be a decent sized conversation. And then my third and final thing is the Northview Estates neighbors. So we had, I think Mr. Worker was in, and we talked about that one. It's the one in Ireland, like Flint Street, Spring, or Flint Avenue, Spring, that subdivision where he wanted it upgraded to pavement. So one of the questions is if the homeowners in that area were willing to chip in,
Right.
what would our expectation be of what would be something that would move the ball, that would make that project a little more interesting for us to move it up further. So I drove, that's another road that I checked out again recently, and multiple roads there. And I agree, it's one that could use an upgrade. It has some deficiencies, and it's been there a while. It's pretty fully developed. I mean, there's still a couple spots. But if let's just say for an example, if we estimate that it's a $150,000 project, and it's rating a maybe 1 point better than some other roads. So what would it take for us to move that road forward? For example, if they came in and said, hey, we'll chip in $10,000, $15,000, $25,000, what number would we be at? I don't know if we have to have an answer today, but what would it look like for our board to consider that? So we've done that before where we said, well, this road that only really serves one or two people, we don't want to put all of our resources into it, but somebody will say, we'll buy the asphalt and you put it down. Well, then the whole county gets an improved road and they're paying for part of it, or a significant portion of it. So I always like that. If somebody wants to chip in, I look at that as a net positive for the county as a whole. So in this particular situation, I didn't know if anybody had thoughts on what we would expect.
I'd almost approach it kind of like we do our rock and chip seal. We don't have a scoring system for that, but maybe kind of look at it in that same realm, because they're going to leapfrog somebody.
Potentially, yeah. Or we could request an additional $100,000 from the council if they were going to put in 50%.
Right.
Depending on the amount.
So
I guess my thought was if they threw in $25,000, because it's a road that's going to get done. It's in our queue to get done. But if it was going to get done in 3 years and they want to throw in $25,000 or some amount of money to move it up a year, that's better for the community as a whole. Because that $25,000, we were going to spend it anyway. Now we can we can use it somewhere else to improve additional roads elsewhere. So
I mean, I'd be open to that, but I'm not well versed on that one enough to say what's going to move the needle.
It's just speaking off the cuff here, but, I'm looking at it from asset management perspective, doing the right treatment at the right time. So if we bump this one up 2 or 3 years, based on some assistance from the locals financially, then something else isn't possibly getting paved. So, because the way we look at it is the Pacer rating. Making sure, again, going back to doing that treatment at the right time. So something else isn't getting paved that's a lower Pacer rating, meaning the road is in lesser condition, then that road will continue to deteriorate, and it will deteriorate at a quicker rate, which will then cost even more money. And you may not just be at an overlay, you might be at more of a structural layer now. So making sure that spending the money here on this one here, that's a Pacer rating of 6 and neglecting a 4 or 5, that 4 or 5 may not be $100,000 a mile to overlay now. It may cost more money depending on how quick that Pacer rating lowers. But what I was gonna say was, if this project was projected, say, 3, 4, 5 years out, you could look at what the average life of an overlay is, see how much that costs per mile per year, and say if you want to bump it up, if it's on our schedule 3 or 5 years down the road, I'm not sure what it is, I'd have to look at that. You can multiply that yearly cost times 3, 4, or 5 years and say this is how much money it would take that we're going to bump it up. Basically break it down by yearly cost, if that made any sense.
Yeah, no, I think I understand what you're saying.
So, I mean,
And again, I went out there and if I thought the road was, sometimes the chip seal roads, they're not as pretty, they age differently, but this one, and I sent a note to Donnie, I mean, there were some significant potholes, and I think they're taking the Durapatcher out today to fix some of them. But the road is, I guess my assumption is when we grade it this year, it's going to probably grade as a road that's deteriorated from last year, it'll probably grade lower. And I always think if we can, if a company says, hey, 25% off if you do it this year instead of next year, it might be in our best interest, just to spread our dollar further. Again, I'm not any more in favor of this neighborhood as opposed to another neighborhood, but they brought it to our attention, so I guess that's what I'm looking at. And I would say if they put in $25,000, it would be in our interest to at least consider it.
and I would recommend to them that we are getting Violetics soon, which will evaluate the conditions of all chip seal and asphalt roads. And that's doing it for us. That's going to be a true, accurate, non-biased, no user's judgment call, no opinion going into it. That we could see what it scores then. That I don't want them to, they're spending a bunch of money on something that, well, maybe it does need to get paid next year or 2 years if that's what Violix tells us. And it may say the exact same thing that we have now, but it'd be good to evaluate the whole condition of all the road. And it could push it back, right? It could do all the opposite as well. But
You're right.
it'll be a new set of data to go off of.
Okay, I appreciate it. I don't think I have anything else. I just wanted to bring that up. Appreciate it.
All right.
Anybody have anything else for this Leffert? Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kleinhelter?
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just
So
give you,
again,
so again, I just wanted to say for the public, talked to Sheriff a couple months ago and asked if he would think it'd be a public benefit to come and give a update on his department occasionally, and I think that's what you're here for today, just give you an
Yes, sir.
update.
Yes.
Thank you.
So just to let you know, a quick update on our department. As of this morning, we had 59 inmates in the jail, which obviously is lower than previous years. I think we discussed that on some of the jail reports that you get and all that. So, but that's where we're at this morning on that end. As you're well aware, we are hiring 3 deputies. We are moving to the deputy interview, or the interview stage. It'll be tomorrow, actually. And that is, we're moving 7 of them along. We had 8, and one of them respectfully declined last week as he took a different job. That comes after the physical fitness portion. They passed that, a written test. We did an extensive background investigation on them, and a CVSA, which is our form of like a lie detector test. So after they passed all that, we moved 8 of them on. Like I said, one of them has respectfully declined that. So we're going to move 7 on tomorrow for the first round of interviews.
And some are in-house people and some of them are outside.
We have 3 that are county employees as jail officers, and the remaining 4 are outside employees.
And again, for just the public, I think the interesting part about that is, and this is how I think it has been historically, if somebody wants to be a deputy, a lot of times it's good to start working in our jail.
Correct.
Get your experience and work your way up, because if you're internal, and you've done a good job.
Absolutely.
That moves you ahead a little bit, so.
It allows us to know that individual, know how they work, what their work ethic is, and character.
Mhm.
So, I know when we did the background, I think the individuals that conducted the background checks always asked the outside if they would be willing and able to come to the jail if they didn't get selected for the deputy. So, and it is, years ago when I worked in the jail, that was the only way you could be a deputy, is if you came from the jail. Then as years progressed, we started going outside, but it is a great stepping stone.
And the odds are, if there's 3 of the 7 that are jailers and you hire one of them, then you're gonna have to backfill.
Right.
So it's just that you're creating another opening.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Last week we started, I don't want to get too in depth on this, but we did start some early discussions with a school, a college, med school actually, where we're trying to partner with them to possibly bring in psychiatrists that are studying to be psychiatrists. So they're med students going through their, can't remember what is the name of it when they go through residency. Thank you. Yeah. So we're going to try to. It's going to be a quick moving discussion because the school year for them starts in July. So any resident that would be put in our jail, so to speak, to help with the psychiatric mental health in our jail, they would be there for a full school year, which is July to July. So they want to try to get this moving so that they could get us a resident. So we would have them from this July to next July so that we wouldn't be switching. So early discussions on that, but it was positive. It was something that we wanted to do for a long time, and finally found a school willing to partner with us. So hopefully that moves in the right direction.
I think that's neat. I think we've had something similar where with the health department where they've had students in.
Yeah.
If you'll just let us look at the contract.
Absolutely.
Or the agreement, because usually
Yeah.
there's something to protect.
There'll be a MOU. They're actually working on that now. So absolutely you'll be involved in that. So
I think that sounds like an interesting, so at least something
Yeah.
to try for a semester or a year.
it was a great discussion. I know speaking with myself, the chief deputy, the jail commander, and everyone involved, it was, we couldn't see a negative to it at this point yet, so.
Very nice.
Just, I know you talked about it just a minute ago with the Crossvine. I know I've been attached to some of the emails about the roads out there. I had a conversation with Mr. Huffman on Friday. We are gonna try to work on something out there. It is if you're familiar with 800 especially, it's a short road. There's no speed limit signs. So when a road is not physically marked with a speed limit sign, it falls back to 45 miles an hour. I spoke to numerous deputies when the email came out. They assured me that they've been out there. They have not seen anyone speeding. I know some of the emails that I seen, the videos, it's just impossible to see a car drive by and know how fast they're going. So it can look a lot faster than if you actually have speed. But we're continuously working on that. We will continue to work on that.
Thank you for doing that.
To that point, I didn't remember this during your part, Mr. Leffert, but I asked them, I said, what do you want us to do? Because I told them the steps that we've been taking, and the request, or one of the people said, I would like a speed limit sign posted as well as a school bus sign posted. So, Mr. Leffert, if you'll consider that, I know sometimes with Mr. Wenholt, signs, if you put too many signs up, people don't recognize them, it doesn't do much, but when I'm on a county road, my son, actually, we were driving through, and he's a younger person, and he said, well, what's the speed limit? And I said, there's no speed limit signs in county roads sometimes, and I explained how that works. And in a situation like this, I think, to me, not being an engineer or the highway professional, it seems like it would make sense to put up a couple speed limit signs on that road if possible. And so you probably have a book somewhere, right, that says what's approved speed limits are on certain roads. And if we don't, then we'd probably have to do an ordinance, right, to officially make something a certain speed limit. Is that accurate?
Yes, to make it legally enforceable, otherwise it falls in a statutory code on speed limits. Anything deviates from that, you have to have an ordinance.
So is the sheriff accurate that 45 is the default?
That is per our ordinance, yes. If there's nothing posted, it's defaulted to 45.
So it wouldn't bother, unless the board is opposed, I think it would be a fine idea to put a couple 45 mile per hour speed limit signs if it's not already an approved ordinance, that that's what the speed limit is, and then work that process to make it official. Because if it defaults to that anyway, we're not harming anything by putting it up, but then we can officially make it that over the next couple of meetings. Because if I'm that truck driver, if I don't see a sign, because I thought the rule was, I think what they taught us in driver's ed was, you drive a reasonable speed limit for the conditions present. I thought that's what the threshold was back then. And if we have a sign up, at least I think the driver will see.
Would 45 be the correct speed limit though?
That's the thing, is we're going through the ordinance and all that you're basically putting a sign out there saying it's 45 when it's already 45 by the book. So at that point, you want to see what the speed limit needs to be. I may possibly recommend a lower speed limit. That's a gravel road, so I find it hard to go 45 on a gravel road. I'm sure people will do it, but we may want to lower the speed limit.
Especially based on the conditions now that the road will be deteriorating.
Yes, even if it's a temporary reduction in speed, it can always be evaluated at a later point after instructions.
I know you don't need something else on your plate right now, but I think that would be important for that area. And because if I got pulled over by a deputy and they're like, you were going 50, so, well, it's 50. The default is then I'd be like, well, where's the sign? I mean, I could see that people would make that argument. It might make it easier for the deputies, and it might make it easier to consume if you're the public driving on it or one of these companies. Does the board think I'm off my rocker?
No, you're not off your rocker at all. No, I do agree with Levi about taking that down. It is gravel road, less than 45. I mean, that's me. So
if you're
my
not,
suggestion.
so Commissioner Oscar, if you're not familiar, I think it goes asphalt for what, a quarter mile, half mile maybe, and then it goes to rock for the remaining mile or whatever of it. So there's asphalt up to the home, and then there's no more homes with it.
So the request is for 800 South. Would there be any other requests?
And the school bus stop sign, I don't know that that's necessary, but again, it's one
I
home.
think you're right, you're probably gonna end up with sign blind if you do too much, but I think the speed limit sign is definitely reasonable. And
The county highway department has traffic counters that collect data, shows the speeds of vehicles along with the number of vehicles. We've got a pretty extensive bit of traffic data over the years, and you look through all the books and look at the speed. It's alarming how fast people travel, and these are on posted roads. So putting a speed limit sign up doesn't mean people are necessarily going to go that speed. So I can look into it, but I'm just saying it doesn't mean it's going to fix it. People are going to travel slower because they tend not to follow signs.
Again, I'm just putting in myself in the driver's position. If I see a sign there and I get pulled over doing 10 over that, it's pretty obvious that I broke the rule, and it's hard for me to argue that I didn't because it's there.
well, I think people use the sign as a benchmark. They might not drive that speed, but maybe they'll only go 10 over it. So.
Have you been talking to my wife?
I'll follow up with the board on that. I'll take a look into that.
Thank you.
Request to lower it.
Thank you for that.
Sure. Just a couple other things. I know I sent out the agreement from preventative maintenance agreement from Bessemer Mechanical. I did check with Tom Blessinger on your questions about including HVAC and EMA and 911, and it does.
It does include that?
It does.
Correct.
And then we added the
For
clauses, yeah.
So I don't remember, and I didn't look. Did we do the agreement with Johnson Controls? Is that something that we did a couple years ago?
I believe so, yes.
So Johnson Controls we had a planned service agreement that we were talking about with them.
That's for the fire system.
I thought it was for mechanical and control systems. Yeah, the HVAC service sales representative. So I guess my thought was, are these things duplicative or are
No.
they different things?
They're different, yes.
No, overall, I looked at it, because Mr. Fleesner's a little more versed in this. I had him look at the agreement too, and we both think that it seems like a fine deal, especially if it includes
Yeah,
the
we
functionality
had,
of the building.
it does, yeah. We've had Mespers for many years until we added on or remodeled. And then we had no one for this short period of time, but however Mespers were coming when we needed them. So I think it's a needed agreement that we can sign in with them.
Do you have enough in your maintenance budget to
We
pay
do.
for it now?
And Greg's looked at the final draft of it, okay,
Yes.
You've looked at it since they added the clauses?
the new verbiage.
Not that they have in our clauses, but there are clauses, so. I know
Do you have
it's-
the full version?
Actually, I wanted to make sure I got here this morning. I haven't sent it to back to Mespers yet, but I mean, as far as I can tell there, we had one page. We'll just, if they can just add this to it.
So how about this, I would be okay to approve it. Roughly, it was what, $12,000 a year,
$99.85.
$99.85, and, okay. That's,
I don't have the extra part.
total cost to complete the work, $9,985, and this is going to take care of our chiller units, boilers, air handlers, the hood supply system, just a maintenance agreement. So we have to furnish our own filters and belts as needed, but they'll come in and just make sure that the asset is well maintained. So how about this, I'd be okay to move forward with approving it after we get a final document. So
Sure.
if this board is okay with approving it, and then what Greg and I say that the agreement looks like it's in order, we'll just sign it outside of the meeting, so we don't have to wait another 2 weeks.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right, so under those terms, I'll move that we approve the agreement with Messmer Mechanical.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank
Motion
you.
carries.
And then I just have one other thing that I was going to mention is, if you remember, maybe you do, maybe you don't, last year for the hill by the
Yes.
security center, we had an injury there. So we've been looking at, and we're going to have a demo set up for its a remote control lawnmower on the hillside there. So I figured whenever we get that demo, I'll send you guys an email. So if you want to come up and see it, probably Levi and Donnie also, get some more opinions on it, but try to get, so we can get that done without actual people on the hill and causing injury, so.
Good idea.
For lack of a better comparison, it's kind of like a Roomba.
Sort of, yeah.
But they mow the yards.
Basically.
A little bigger than that.
Sure, but I mean, it's that idea, 'cause there's a guy on the north side of Jasper that had that, and they would just be out there mowing the yard 5 times a week. Yeah, and it's-
This is actually, it's remote control, so somebody can still have to
Somebody
be out
still has to be out
and
there.
scaling and mowing it, but they're just not gonna be on the mower.
Nice,
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
I was thinking that it was
nice.
self-directed, whatever, but yeah.
Program it to go.
I think that's that's a nice, safe alternative. The only other one would be to hire an outside firm to do it, and they're gonna charge for the risk.
mhm. It's worth looking into.
Absolutely.
We'll get the demo. If it works, great. If it doesn't,
Go to
we may
plan.
end up going to that eventually, but I think it's a good thing to look at, so.
Nice.
That's all I have, unless you got any questions, Randy?
Are we gonna have any discussions on vehicles this year, or do you have vehicle needs?
Speaking with the council, I don't believe we're gonna approach you guys for any vehicles this year, unless we absolutely need one, but I think we worked ourselves in a good spot where I know with the added officers, we're gonna get away doing it this year without any new vehicles, so.
I don't have anything else, Sheriff.
No,
No, yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you for coming
Yep.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, it's 8:45. Mr. Whiskey?
Good morning.
Good morning. Our names is Adam Schwartz and Michael Tripic. We participating Special Olympics Indiana, DuBois County. Do you know what Special Olympics is? Special Olympics is an international organization that was started in 1968 by Eunice Kennedy Shriver to provide sports for people with international and developmental challenges. It provides healthy exercise, opportunity, learn new skills, a sense of belonging, opportunities for friendships. Du Bois County has an awesome team, and we want to grow in order to reach more athletes.
And we are asking to have permission to use the county roads of West 100 South and South Old Hunting River Road for the use of our Special Olympics Indiana. The Bois County Fun Run and Walk that will be held on October 3rd of 2026. The time will be 8 a.m. until around 11 a.m. We have already spoken to Janessa at the Jasper Parks Department, and we have approval to use the youth sports complex. We have also spoken to Donnie Logan from the street department, and he is okay with us using the roads.
We will meet with the Jasper Public Works Board next week for the two roads we will use of Davis.
And we will not be able to close the roads for our events, and do you have any questions for us?
Did you say you would like the roads to be completely closed, or will they be partial closing?
We won't close
We
it
won't
at all.
close it all.
Okay, I didn't catch that part.
Sorry.
It's okay. And if you talk to the highway department, that is an area where we've had fun runs and things before. I think usually we request a map, don't they usually provide a drawing? There it
It's
is.
already been sent in, and the road closure that we do not closure, it's been sent to the state in our insurance, because the city and the county will also be listed on our insurance.
That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah, that's
And is there a
already-
liability form?
I think the highway has the road use form.
Yes, they do, and we've got it, but we're not allowed to sign anything. Our president of Special Olympics signs it, and then our insurance company reviews it.
You
So
sound like you're more prepared than many that come for us, so it sounds like you've got everything done that
This is
we
our
need, so we
fourth
appreciate it.
year of doing it, so.
So I will make a motion that we approve the road closure as you've requested.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, pending signing of our document, having us on as an insured.
Okay, I'll second.
Any other discussion on the topic?
And you're welcome to join us.
Yeah, I mean, so what is it, just going to be like a fundraiser?
It's a fundraiser. We only do in Du Bois County 2 fundraisers a year. We do the polar plunge,
Mhm.
and then we do this one. And that is what keeps us going.
I'll do the run and you guys do the polar plunge. Just to show our support.
Honestly, it sounds lots.
So this year for our fun run, the FOP has agreed. What we try to do is I'm the fundraising partner in public relations for Special Olympics. And what we do with Du Bois County's fun run is we try to find an organization to come out and be the buddies for all our athletes.
Okay.
So that the parents don't always have to do it. So this year, the FOP has agreed to be our buddies. So he is going to send out as many as we need to run with and walk with our athletes.
Awesome.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Gentlemen, thank you for the presentation. Mr. Whiskey, thank you.
You're welcome.
When they send it, you want to get a copy of it or? do we-
Whenever,
You get a copy of everything, yeah.
when everything is finished, you can make
Yeah,
for
it's
the
been
auditor.
already sent in, yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Schwartz, good to see you, sir. Okay, we're a little ahead of schedule. How about this? Let's do the annual congressional school report. So we get a report every year,
It's an annual report that states what we have in fund.
and it earns interest, and the interest is put out to the county schools, and that's about
Schools
the,
get a distribution twice a year, and it's the same amount.
anybody have any questions on this, concerns?
It will be an original amount in perpetuity.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we sign off on the annual congressional school report.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, I'm gonna just give a brief update. I had a Teams meeting with EDP on the 9th, and I invited them to present to the board in the future. The Thomas Laturco, he's the vice president for our area. He stated, so we had a decent conversation about the project, and if you remember, I think EDP is going to, they have a second phase of their solar project. This is the one in the Duff area, and they are going to want to, I assume they're going to continue to want to push forward to make that happen if they can somehow make that work. So I told them how we felt in how the community seems to feel about expansions in that area. I told them my personal views of it, and this was one thing that was interesting, so I'll bring it up to the board. There are concerns that we've had voiced from the public about safety issues and setbacks, and in addition to the traffic issues, just in general with the safety of batteries and the solar panels and those things in the area. And one way that they've done with other similar communities is they said that an issue would be they could pay for a third-party engineer to be an overseer. So say we have say that the second phase, we could say contingent upon that, we want a third-party engineer to be our eyes and ears on the ground for this. And they said that the way that would be done is they could make a payment to the county. We could do requests for proposals. We could find our own engineer, our own person to do this kind of overseeing this work, and they would be accountable to us. So the way I envisioned it is they're willing to pay for their own babysitter because they are confident that everything that they're doing is above board. So and he said, well, it probably cost us six figures, easy to do that, but that is something that they are willing to do if that is a roadblock for them getting the next phase of their project. Again, I'm not saying that that's a good idea or a bad idea. I just thought that it was worth mentioning to you. Further, yeah, just so we're aware that, when the moratorium is up in 8 months, they are probably going to be one that they want to try to move forward with their phase 2 in that area. Trying to think if there's other things that they, so further, I've talked to the EDP people and the AES people since the last meeting, and both of them said, well, it seems like, I think with the short version of what they're saying is you guys are getting beat up for work that we should be doing. They should be defending their own project because it's not a county project. I'm not here to defend what they're doing or what they're not doing out there. And they said that they need to be more proactive on doing that themselves. And so I believe over the next month or so, we'll probably have representatives from both of those firms come give an update, say, here are some of the things that the public has said is a concern, such as the radio communication issues with the airport, the glint and the glare, the thermal runaway, all of the things that people have brought up as issues, they will come and, I guess, kind of answer to those things. So I think that'll be nice. We'll hear from them, and then we can ask them to be available if the public wants to go dive into it deeper with them. So I just thought that, because when somebody in the public comes and says, I don't like this,
Right.
and or I'm questioning a certain thing, we are content experts on that. I'm trying to be as much as possible, but it's those people that have done dozens of these projects can probably answer some of those questions.
They need to be present. Exactly.
And I'm not asking the public to believe them 100%, but at least they can give them guidance and some evidence in that direction. And what I have learned, especially even over the last couple of weeks, is, I mean, these things are pretty highly regulated. There's a lot of steps and a lot of things that these companies go through to improve and ensure safety. And like we've said, like I've said, I guess, at least from the beginning, it's not in their best interest for these things to be not safe. You know, they want their product to last a long time and not hurt anyone. That's how they maximize profit. So I just want to share that. So I would assume over the next couple of meetings, the next month and a half, that we will probably be having those people here.
Great.
And let's go ahead and move on to, I see Mr. Grolick is here, software determination. Morning, sir.
Good morning. Morning. Craig Relic, DeWitt County Treasurer. And if you guys remember last year, we talked about changing software, financial software. We were using a company called Harris, and it felt like we were not getting the support that we needed. So we had put out bids, and actually we went to a company called Lau. They're out of South Bend, Indiana. And I believe we're live now. I think we're entering our 7th week. We just finished our 6th week here. I think it's 3 payroll periods have gone through. And
We
So-
went live March 9th.
okay, there we go. I thought it was the next week. Okay, very good. March 9th. So we're 7 weeks in, and it's been obviously some challenges for all of us when you're learning something new. But I feel like we're pretty happy with the way things are right now. And Sandy has had a big adjustment over there with payroll. I don't know, nobody else sees that because it's all done behind the scenes. So her side has been affected as well, but things have been, I feel like, really good and as promised.
Even our receiving process, it starts over there now, it doesn't start with us, so things have been
Yeah,
changed.
things change and things have been really good and we're really happy with it. So I'm here to present a termination agreement with Harris, who the contract expires at the end of the year. I feel like I'm way ahead of the schedule, but I don't want to, all of a sudden, we have to give 30 days notice prior to is when, so by November 30th is when we have to let them know. So I have a typed up letter. I believe I sent it to you all as just last week, if you have a chance to read it. Greg approved it. It seemed acceptable. So just wanted to let you know. And if you guys have any questions about that so one of the things that I felt was really important that Harris told us. So I think we were the 76th county that has the financial software that they do. Have 92, I think we're the 76th. And we were the only county that they did not have to make adjustments. So we have nearly 200 funds, I believe it is. Sandy, I was talking to Laura about it. I think we have nearly 200 funds. So like Sheriff's Office has
Yeah, we're
a
right
plethora of funds.
We're right
Everybody-
under 196 or
Yeah.
197 of them.
So I think it depends on what day it could be, but nonetheless. And then when we start with them, with Harris, we actually have to agree that this is the dollar amount that we're starting. You know, if it's $2,000, throw a number out, and then going forward, we have to do that. We are the only county that they did not have to make adjustments to. All of our books were balanced. Everything was,
Precise.
yeah, everything was right on.
We
So
were in
that's
balance.
Yes, so that's a testament. I know if something's wrong, it would be on Sandy and I, but when something's right, it's a team effort. It truly is. It's not a Craig did everything right and Sandy did everything right. It's our staff. And I truly think it's important for everybody to know that our staff takes it pretty serious, that on a day that we don't balance, they find it and they research and they do all the things that are necessary. And like, oh, here it is. Okay. A lot of times it's transposed or just something simple, but we don't just dismiss it and kick it down the road. That's not what goes on. And I think that is a very important issue for all the taxpayers to know and for you guys to know that we made the right decision, and it just confirms that we have a great staff. And I'm pretty happy about it. But they told us, we didn't ask them to, give us good news. They came out and told us more than once about how this was going on. So I want to share it with you, and we'll share it with the council another time. But so I think making the move to allow is a really good thing for us right now too.
Having worked in one of those offices for 8 years myself, sometimes it was very frustrating because you're like, we're off under $1 and we're gonna spend all this time on it. But you get it right the day that it's not right and you keep current. And that's just something that, again, I didn't do it. The staff did it. And Sandy's folks, and they just kept the books right.
Yeah.
Because if you fudge it a little bit one day, it compounds.
By the end of
And it'll bite, and eventually it'll bite,
Catch up.
or it'll bite the next sucker that it's in your position.
Right.
And so it's really good that people take the job seriously, and it's important. Appreciate hearing the good news.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me though.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either, because one of the things that they have mentioned too, sometimes people in the auditor's office and the treasurer's office don't always get along. That's not what goes on. In our office, everybody gets along. We understand what the job is, and yeah, we all get along. It's hard for me to imagine not getting along with the other people you actually have to
It's
work
hard
with.
for me to imagine they don't balance.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that something? So, so that's why I'm here for the termination letter.
Can you bring it up, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I'll move that we approve the signing of the termination letter.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I'd say you're probably gonna have your service with Harris until the end of the year though, because you're getting paid through that.
yes.
Do you want it?
So, do you want a copy of it? Or anything?
Yes.
So I've got 2 people that I'm sending it to, and then I'm also, via email, then I'm also gonna mail it. So we're gonna make sure that we cover it all, and I've asked for acknowledgement for them that they've received this. So I think,
Sure.
all right. Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys are making it a great day.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just so if we have a couple minutes here until the next agenda item. I intended to bring this up at the last meeting, but I wasn't here long enough. Over the last several months, maybe the last year, we've had the public multiple times give us resolutions or ordinances and say, I want you to pass this. I want you to pass this today. Or we're opposed to something, or we're in favor of something here. This is what, my question was, do we want to continue taking unsolicited resolutions and ordinances from the public? I mean, or does it make any difference, or how do you feel about that? I guess it just makes me, I feel it puts us in a weird position to have people giving us documents, telling us how to do it, and then expecting it. Or I guess it doesn't, now that I'm saying it out loud, I guess it doesn't hurt to take them and to review them. I just didn't know if that was anything that either of you have ever thought about, or if that means anything.
I mean, I don't see it any different than somebody that has to be on the agenda to come and tell us about, whatever their concern is. They can bring it in, we can review it, doesn't mean we have to do anything with it, so
Look at it.
just giving the public their voice.
I guess that's true. Mr. Schneider, is there any problem with us continuing to take?
No, you can continue to receive them, and again, if there's something that has traction with the board and you want us to look into it, it doesn't mean you adopt it verbatim, vet it out and then work it, reword it, and go from there.
Have a
I
discussion.
guess the bottom line is sometimes I feel uncomfortable when they say, here's the ordinance, sign it. And I'm like going, what, we've never even seen this thing, and I feel like I gotta argue with somebody in the public who, they're acting in good faith, I think. They're trying to get a point across, but
Right.
whatever, I guess we take it and we just move on. And we can review it for the next time. All right. Let's move ahead with Sultan's Run subdivision dedication of right away, Mr. Beaver.
Morning, sir. Good morning. Phil Bueller with Brosmer Land Surveying and Engineering, here on behalf of Sultan's Run Golf Club LLC. Here, so this is in regards to Sultan's Run's property. If you take 15th Street down west to the entrance of Sultan's Run and take a left and go north on Meridian Road, there's the existing house that's up on your right there. Sultan's Run currently operates that as a stay and play. And Sultan's Run proposes to build another stay and play to the south of that.
And the south portion, the county doesn't have that, doesn't have anything to do with our subdivision ordinance, it's
in the jurisdictional limits of the city of Jasper.
So the main request from you today is if we will accept the dedication of the right of
The
way.
dedication of the right of way, that's correct. So in order to do this with the city, we actually are in the process of, we had to rezone this. Sultan's Run, the big property, is zoned agricultural. They wanted us to rezone it to R1, which matches the existing house that's out there. I had a plat committee meeting with the city of Jasper last Tuesday. They approved it as presented here. So the final approval of the rezone is actually on Wednesday at the council meeting. I asked about coming here and getting approval from you, and they said really, in their opinion, the rezone has nothing to do with the dedication of the right of way. So they recommended coming and presenting to you today and getting signatures if you so do approve. Meridian Road is considered from 15th Street south, and then 15th Street over to the bridge is County Road. Is considered, I think it's a rural collector, I think it is, which has a 40-foot right-of-way associated with it going north from 15th Street. Meridian Road is a local county, it's just a local county road. So we do dedicate a 30-foot right-of-way. The section line is running about 5 feet to the east of the physical center line of the road. So the dedication that we're proposing, the 30 feet would get, if you go from the center line of the road, would go over approximately 35 feet as opposed to 30. So that's what we are here today, is to talk about the acceptance of that dedication of that 30 feet of right of way.
Can you tell me what this is, where the public utility drainage easement, this line?
Yeah,
So
so
usually isn't that within that right of way?
no,
If not?
no,
Okay.
no, it's not. So the utilities that are out there, there's REC running up the west side of the road, and then there is Jasper Water, which goes up and serves the Bobbles houses over a little farther up to the north. So there are no utilities on the east side of the road, but we do show that public utility and drainage easement as being dedicated by this plat. They did have for whatever reason, when they platted, it's called Lane Meadow is the existing house that's up there. They did set forth a 40-foot right of way, and that was through the city back in like 85, something like that. But we went back to the 30-foot that would be standard for the local street at this point.
You have any issues with the amount of dedication? Or what
No
is it?
calls are required.
So make the motion that we approve the acceptance of the county road right of way.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Want to keep this one as simple as possible. This is a pretty simple one for us.
At first, I thought you were talking about building to the north of this house, and I'm like, wow. That'd be interesting.
Well, I did too, because the first picture didn't have that red drawing.
Correct.
I thought they were splitting the north parcel. I was thinking,
Yeah, when I saw the red drawing, I was like,
oh,
Thank you.
you put it on stilts.
everyone okay to continue? Continue the break? All right, we'll ask Mr. Flynn to come up. Memorial Day POW/MIA event, courthouse use agreement. Morning, sir.
How are you all?
Good.
Um,
And before he gets started again, I just want to float his boat and tell him thank you again so much for everything that he and Mr. Hensley in particular have done for the Veteran Service Office over the last couple months especially. They've kept the office running. We have a new Veteran Service Officer in there. Mr. Hensley said on Friday, said that would be his last day. He's a volunteer, but he said, but he's willing and able to be there anytime that he's needed. And these gentlemen kept that office and the service to local veterans at a high level during a difficult time in that office. It means the world to me, and I appreciate this one to publicly thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for allowing us to be able to continue to serve veterans here in the county. I mean, it's a group of people who need help with different things, and having that office, from basically would have been the middle of February to last week at a, not substandard, but, very few hours opened just due to one employee would have stopped a lot of stuff. And I think we're on a very good track now. I think Nick is very well qualified and very well motivated to continue to work on. And other veterans are willing to, again, volunteer and help as needed. Obviously giving them their space to run the office the way they need to, but there's enough people around that are willing to help out veterans, especially here in Du Bois County. So appreciate you all allowing us to do that, to come in and work on it in a county office and stuff. We're not county employees, and yes, we've signed non-disclosure and, accountability to not hold the county accountable for anything we do, but we're very happy to do it.
So there were a lot of veterans that were able to be served when otherwise it would have been very limited.
It would have had an impact, and I think as we go along and we do a better job of measuring the metrics and what it really provides to the county, I think it'll become a lot more transparent and clear to the amount of funding and money that comes into the county through the veteran, and that money is spent here in Du Bois County or in the local area, and it has a really dramatic impact. I mean, there's a lot more money than I even understood, but now over the last 3 or 4 years that I've been involved with more of the veteran service aspects of what's out there, both state and federal level. I mean, it does make a big difference, and having qualified people and people that are dedicated to do it, makes a difference for the veterans. And the new laws and everything is changing, just like everything else. I listen, to software and AI and all the things. I mean, our grandfathers or even our fathers or mothers, VA is not the way it is now. And VA benefits to VA healthcare, it's dramatic cut between the two. And VA healthcare now has such a larger impact for the local community with community care and everything else, where the veteran doesn't have to travel outside of the county for medical care. I mean, it's a dramatic increase. So appreciate you allowing us to help with that.
And as Sheriff Kleinhelder, when he was up here earlier, he's coming once a month or so to kind of an update on his office. I've asked the Veteran Service Office to do the same thing, if possible, come up every other month maybe, and because we didn't have, I don't feel we've had a good enough connection with the office, and it's nice for them to come in and say, over this last month, we served 15 veterans, 5 people have been given 100%, some people have been given this, some people have been, just to keep accountability, to tell us the ongoing efforts that they're making, and for the public to know the good work that's being done.
And it's an ongoing process, and what, again, even the veteran, I mean, the older veterans, when they got out, there was not the emphasis on services after the fact. But now, veterans coming out now, it's night and day. And not just the veteran, but the veterans' dependents, widows, spouses. There's so much stuff that it's not overlooked, but people just don't know. You don't know what you don't know until you ask or you dig into it. And usually it's after the fact. And sometimes it's too late. We can help to mitigate some of that stuff for that family and for future veterans, because now you're like, wow, it's just like a law that changes. There's so much more involved, even And July will be 20 years since I've served in the military, and I served for 23 years and waited 16 years before I filed my initial VA claim, just because stubborn, typical person coming out of the military, 42, you're fine and the world's great and off you go. And then, 15, 16 years later, you realize you're not. And going through that process, it's eye-opening. So it's good to know, and it's good to have trained and qualified people that can assist you on that journey. So I appreciate that again.
And Veteran Service Officer Nick, his name's Nick too. So Nick,
Gotta be a good guy.
There you
Bagrigan, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name.
I keep pronouncing it wrong.
Pagragan.
A Marine Army veteran, lives down in Santa Claus, and very involved, just getting out of the National Guard. He actually did his own claim. I mean, anybody can do a claim. I mean, you can go online and do most things with the government. But again, it's the nuances, it's the language, it's making sure the right boxes are checked that slows people down. Then there's frustration level, and then there's a delay. And people, once you start the clock running on certain things, you have a year. And if you don't reach that year, then you're starting over again. And so that's frustrating, especially for our older veterans, maybe not computer savvy, maybe not having access, to the hours or to the people. And that's why we have outreach with different groups, veteran service officers, through the DAV and through the American Legion. We try to do outreach at the different posts throughout the county and other things. But these are veteran roundups and our veteran fairs to assist veterans. And it's getting better every time. So I've seen such a huge increase in veteran events and veteran services. Again, just now going on the 4 years that I've been involved with the different organizations. The DuBois County Veteran Council is very strong. In fact, the officers that were put in place last year are staying on again in full for the next year. We've increased our meetings from 4 year to 6 year just because of the type of things that we're doing with the county and for the county and throughout the state. Our involvement with Boone Taylor, with Mind, Body, Soul, and veteran suicide, PTSD. And then along with the type of ceremonies and stuff, we try to bring awareness to veterans and stuff here in the county. Just this will be my 4th year of doing the Memorial Day ceremony on the square as the adjutant for the council. I've seen a steady increase each year that we've really put forth a bigger effort to, one, get the word out to the public, and two, to involve more people. And more people are interested in it, and there's kind of a renewed sense of patriotism and just belonging. And I think you see that with our Memorial Day ceremony, our flag disposal ceremony for sure in June, and then what we do during Veterans Day at schools and throughout the community. So Memorial Day is the start of what we do for veteran services. I talked with Sandy and got the agreement to fill out just for use of the square. You're welcome. On the west side, what we normally do, I talked to the City Public Works meeting last week and got their approval for blocking off limited on the north and south side of the square for traffic coming onto the west side, and then off of the highway to stop traffic coming up that road during the ceremony. Bleachers and street department and everybody, parks department are fine with it. They have our map of what we normally ask for as far as a number of barriers. We asked for the county for the use of the restrooms on the west side. I think it's down to the basement, and then being able to plug in for power to run our PA system and stuff for music and for our speakers. The park department will be moving bleachers into the area probably that Thursday or Friday before the ceremony. It's inclusive 9 to 11 with setup and tear down, with the ceremony starting at 10 o'clock. Honoring our veterans. We have a firing detail that fires blank ammunition, and we have a couple speakers, a ceremony at the fountain by the Navy League, as well as the POW MIA dedication ceremony that we do during Memorial Day as well. And then we honor a veteran each year from DuBois County, someone who has served. The veteran this year will be a young private or PFC who was killed during World War II. Right after D-Day in France. And then his body was brought back to Du Bois County and buried over in, near Ferdinand. And I don't want to mispronounce the name, but it will be in the write-up for the paper. And it's a local family, and they'll be at the ceremony. And then afterwards, for the celebration meal, will be at the VFW here in town. That alternates between the VFW and the American Legion each year. And so that's what we're asking for the couple hours of use of the square for that time period. Nothing different than what we've done in the years past, only hopefully bigger crowds.
Anyone have any issues with the approval?
Do you have certain times?
He said.
9 to 11 inclusive. We would block off the streets starting at 9 so we can set up and put out chairs and set up the podium and put the power and everything in place for the music and speakers. And then be tore down and out of there by 11. That'd be the goal.
So I just asked that you get with Scott Hope.
Yes.
And make sure that we're good there. And I'll make a motion that we approve the use agreement.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, and then I will be getting a calendar just for so you know what we're doing as far as veterans. That's one thing I'm trying to develop at the county veterans organizations is to provide a more inclusive calendar about events that go on throughout the year, whether it's at the different posts or it's whether, like flag disposal is in June. I'm working up the stuff for that for use at the fairgrounds. We want to try to add, now that we have a POW MIA monument, we're one of the few cities throughout the country that have a dedicated POW MIA monument like we have here in Du Bois County. And so I'm working up all the stuff because it would involve insurance. It'd be more like an Oktoberfest type thing for that third weekend in September, but I'm not done with all the planning to ask for, just to let you know, that I will be back. I'm kind of around, so I'll be around for that. So I know we're already talking about Oktoberfest for October 3rd with Mind, Body, Soul, Boone Taylor for that on the square as well. So yeah, veterans organizations are busy. We've seen an uptick in membership and interest, and yeah, I think we're on the right track. And as the VSO and our other ceremonies and things, get more traction. I just think people become more aware. We have good public relations. Du Bois County Free Press with Matt Crane, ITZ, JTS. Everybody gives us a lot of airtime to get word out to the public. So I think that helps as well. And then support from the commissioners and the council and the cities here in Du Bois County, I think speaks volumes about where we live at in middle America. So that's always good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you.
you.
Take a quick couple minutes of that. And is the clerk going to be attending for her contract or? I didn't know if she just wanted us to approve it or she was on vacation. Yes, sir.
I forgot to mention, we should invite, commissioners whoever. It's a church thing, but we also have a pretty good showing. Yeah, last round. Yeah. A few things. Senator Banks in Senator Young's office and sometimes I dated that guy.
Daryl Schmidt?
Yes. My neighbor and I were, that guy. People do come, so anybody that really wants to. That's where a lot of stuff generates, and that's why we need a better flow to veterans office, because we talk about that and stuff. Veterans. A lot of guys, families come in and ask them questions. Well, we were kind of doing like a 2-hour session. Daryl and I
Same
were
as if you had.
Is it 609?
Sure.
If you talk to two people there, they talk to a couple people.
Right,
And then
and then they'll walk, and that's really how it's gonna be for walking.
I don't know why we don't do this.
Yeah, I think we've got a whole thing. People is getting better and friendly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the honor card, I think that might be a good addition. I know Susan had tried that. As far as helping get bike going, when we send out stuff to businesses in the chamber, but like, veteran friendly or veteran stuff in the windows, just giving us a better idea. Veteran friendly. That's all. Thank you guys.
I was gonna ask you one thing.
Yes, sir.
Somebody called me, so two things. One, I seen in the Bergen News, they're saying, hey, if you want to be a driver for local veterans, call this number. But then I did have a veteran call and say, hey, we're needing drivers, and I sent them to the
Right.
And so, is there something that we can do to help with that? I mean,
Not really, we give them the paperwork, I mean, so EAB nationally provides the van and stuff, and then we provide qualified drivers. What it means is they come into the office there and they get a form to fill out. So they go to the VA and they get a physical, and the VA does the background check. That one, have everything to do with the VA.
So who's scheduling the ride?
We schedule the ride, if someone needs a ride, we set the service office.
Oh, okay, they're still doing it.
Right,
Okay.
they're just scheduling a ride, all they do is, we have this many drivers, if somebody calls for a ride,
I wasn't sure that.
and that's the only, so, there's a telephone metric that they provide to the veterans council, is how many requests and how many rides are there, because volunteer drivers, when the drivers quit or move on, fewer drivers, fewer rides available. We call it a VSO and stuff, so we can't do it. Somebody else, if they have someone going to Louisville that day, and then help facilitate the ride, that's what's gonna get there. But it's not a perfect system, but what's helped, again, goes back to community care is going into their third year now. And so the veteran doesn't have to go, at least.
If it's more than so many miles, like you here.
Well, it's not even that, it doesn't matter what it is.
Oh, is that right?
Community care can be approved depending on, yeah, it is so many miles. If you're in the Marion VA and through Evansville, they'll try to make you go there. If you're in the Louisville VA, then more than likely 100% of it will be community care. I'm fighting now with my cancer diagnosis and stuff, where Marion is who I'm under, and so Evansville is an airline. Where I can do here, maybe Boost or someplace else. And if I push them hard enough, then obviously they do it.
Hey, your time's over.
Oh, sorry. What? Tell you what, if you were a veteran, you'd be.
That's why I'm here today. Chad had.
Keep me, since you do the church security, you figure you do it for the.
I'm doing the commissioners.
There you go. That's why I love it.
When the sheriff isn't here, you're in charge.
But yeah, community care is making that a big thing. I know two people came in for paperwork last week when I was in there.
For driving?
To be new drivers.
Good.
So people do, what happens again with our older veterans sometimes, or their caregivers, they get something to the VA and they let it sit and they wait and like, I'm gonna call today because I need a ride tomorrow. And, you know, the drivers are volunteers. It's not like they're sitting there waiting to get the van and go. And it's usually a full day. And if you're driving from Louisville, you know, so if they don't plan out far enough, that's why we stress on community care. And then the other thing is the Veteran Evaluation Services van. It was just here this weekend. We hosted it at the VFW, where we don't do anything except provide them a parking space and use of the bathrooms and facilities in case of bad weather. But when veterans now, when you're requesting a evaluation or services and stuff, you know, they give you choices. You know, you want it telehealth, you want it community care, you want to go to the VA clinic, the VA hospital, or is there a mobile van close by? Like I had two medical things on Friday, and one was at the VA in Evansville, but then there was a mobile van in Evansville that I did the other one at. And we provide that same service we have now at the VFW for 2 years. Usually either 1 to 3 days a month, they'll schedule a van to come in here. A van on big Winnebago type thing. I don't know if you've seen it on Facebook sometimes. But All those are options, but the problem is, a lot of the older veterans don't know how to ask for that when they're talking to the VA. They're just happy to get through,
So
you
that's
know, the
another
helpline.
service the BSO can help with.
And so Maria's on top of it. She keeps a good log, and then that's reported to the Veteran Council at the meetings every month about the number of rides, the need for volunteers. We push that out to the veterans organizations, trying to get members to volunteer more time to do that. So,
Thank you, Mr. Flynn.
thank you guys.
Take care. You come on up,
Good,
clerk. We have the clerk, Kim Rock is here to talk about Text My Gov contract.
So I sent to you an email about this program, and I got some feedback from Chad with some questions, and I'm still waiting on our vendor to send me some more information just to kind of close that loop a little bit. The idea is communication with poll workers is the big need for this service, I guess you could say. It's just it's a software that we would buy, and that it's like I could generate what looks like an email on my computer, but it sends a text message to the phone numbers that we put into the system. We've seen them at conference many times. We've looked at adding their service, but in the past, I always felt like it was a big expense for what they were offering. And really, they pitch it like, hey, this is a great way to communicate with all of the public about election stuff. And then you can interact where other people can scan our QR code when they come in to vote, and then they can text us through this software. So when we went through we had them present their program to us, me and the first deputy, and she said, we don't need to communicate with all of the general public. We just need it to communicate with our poll workers or just our candidates. So we like to send email or text message reminders that say, hey, we have poll worker training on this date and time, or maybe we want to communicate with a candidate that says your campaign finance forms are due on this certain date and time. And there's a lot of communication that happens with candidates and poll workers. I use my personal cell phone for a lot of it, and that's my choice. I've done that for a number of years, and it works well, just so I don't have to make 50 phone calls. I can send a copy and text a few different numbers. So this is a really good system that allows us that. Chad, I feel like I just came from an election board meeting. I didn't recap your email. I think your question was you wanted to see a little bit more about what the system actually is, what it does.
It just seems like what they gave us as an agreement isn't germane to what you're actually doing, because it talks about the potholes and the.
Yeah, just general other things that you can use it for. Yeah.
I think overall it's a fine, I think it's good. I think the way you've handled the office, as far as we've all been candidates, and you keep candidates up to date on, hey, your forms are due, your whatever's are due, and with the difficulty in keeping poll workers and the aging poll worker population, I think all of this stuff is good. I just felt like their agreement wasn't good, and I don't want us to get us as a county, get stuck with something that we don't. That isn't kind of tidy. This doesn't seem.
I did ask them to add, or what we could add, so we're not locked in. If we get in and then we decide we don't like it, to get out of it. So I'm waiting on that response.
Because what it says currently is it's 3 years
It's a 3-year
agreement. And so if we get it the first year and we're like, this is terrible, or it's not functioning, we would still have to pay them for 2 more years, because the contract says if you get out, you still got to pay us.
Yeah. So we'll see if they respond with that. The other thing about it was I talked about how they first presented it, where they would interact with all of the public. So when we asked them to cut it down to just communication with poll workers or just candidates, he asked how many people or how many phone numbers would I have, and I roughly said about 100, and how many text messages would we like to send over the course of a year. So they cut the price in more than half. So I thought that was way more doable, and I don't like coming and asking the council for more money, and I feel like we have money in our budget currently that I could move around and pay for it once we get to that place. So anyway, I knew that we kind of had some loose ends that we needed to tie up based on that email, but I wanted to come and see if you had other questions or if you had thoughts on it, other than what was mentioned already.
Will this eventually connect with like, our utility office or anything like that? Will we ever have that option? Is that even an option?
I would think that they as a different office would have the option to set up their own agreement, with
I didn't
them.
know if that was ever an option in the future to where
I don't think that it would be part of this agreement or this, but it's definitely a service that they
it would be a possibility.
Yeah. We do have a feature from the court system where they do text message reminders of court dates and things to people that are on courts, the cases and things. I've looked into, after we got this pitched to us, if that was something that we could tie into, and that's part of the Odyssey case system. So that's not an option for us to tie into that feature that the courts use, just because it's a different software
Sure.
that we don't have that access to for a different reason. So, but it's kind of the same concept in a sense. So
Well, there's people out there that are not computer savvy and different things like that, that, you know, that would possibly benefit from that. I was just curious.
So anyway, I'll try to tie up some of the loose ends. The other question you had in your email was, is it required to put on our website? And I think the answer is yes, but I think we can put it on the clerks section of our website, and it's just a QR code that advertises this feature for those that we would want to have that feature. So I think it is a requirement, but I think it could be done on the clerks section of our website.
Because they require it on our homepage, is what it says in their agreement, but again,
I feel like the clerk's homepage would be acceptable. I did pose that question back to him already. They're on California time, that's why I don't have an answer before this meeting this morning.
but they're still in bed. Yeah, so then with Twilio, that was another part of it, but I didn't know what that was.
I wasn't 100% sure on what that was. I thought that was maybe who on their end signs that contract or that part of the agreement. So I'll find out.
In my experience with this company, they send emails and they send stuff all the time. And they'll be happy to sell their product to any of the departments.
Sure.
So in other places, it would be, a big use is pothole on 13th Street, pothole on this street, grass is too high on.
Maybe somebody wants to know that information.
Well, TextMyGov actually reached out to me back in November 2025.
Mhm.
I had a little Teams meeting with them just after about 10 phone calls. I finally said, sure, I'll see what you got.
They're persuasive.
So I was, at that time, I need to get my feet wet more in the highway department, know what works, what doesn't work, what route Donnie and I want to take things, what change. We're making a lot of changes, right?
Sure.
So I told him, I said, maybe in a year now you can reach back out, but right now we're not interested. But the services they're offering were requests that the public can text in to instead of picking up the phone and calling the highway department, leaving a voicemail. It was just them being able to text, and it went straight to our phones, which can be good and bad. But I don't know all the services they're able to offer us, but they did reach out to us. So I thought,
We've sat through, from the clerk's office, we've sat through their presentations. This is probably the fourth time. When the prior first deputy was in our office, Audrey Kemker, she was a big fan of using this service. We have recruited, when it's recruiting poll workers is the other part of that. Like in an election year that it's a presidential, we'll have over 100 poll workers in one setting. So we have to communicate with all of those people just to see if their schedule is open and that they want to work again. And then it's all the follow-up phone calls and all of the pieces, just putting them on the schedule, and then the training, and then the other pieces. So we've sat through their program pitch a few times, but I think narrowing it down to where it's just outgoing communication to those people, and I don't need to interact with them. That was a big price point in their agreement to us, where it got to a place where I felt like I could put it in our budget in the future. I could ask for the money to run that, and it would be an effective tool for us. I think if we love this, we can always expand it. We can always build it and use it in more ways if it works really well. Or maybe we can get discounts for other departments.
So it did say here, recruit poll workers through targeted messaging. So you couldn't really recruit a new person, but you can,
We have to know what their phone number is to send them the
Right.
information. So we wouldn't,
you can interact better with the people that you know may have an interest.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And how, so I guess my only thing is I would guess out of 100 people, and I've seen the age range being 18 to older than 18. Some people probably wouldn't download the app or they wouldn't do it, so you'll still probably have a
It's
little.
not an app that they have to download. They're just going to get a text message from us, who we have the software. But it would just come through as a text message to them.
I must have read it wrong, because I thought somewhere that it said that there was something that the person had to proactively do something on their end, and you probably
Maybe
know
that's
better
the
than me.
next step into communicating back to us.
Yeah, I did read that it is not, yeah.
Oh, well, that's great, and that makes it even
Yeah.
better, because I thought you'd have to have somebody on the other side do something instead of just receiving a text
No, I
message.
think it's just they receive the text message. I think for them to communicate back to us, there's a different part of that. So I'll close the loop on some of these questions that we had. And then I still need to go to the council and talk to them about moving some of the money out of some of the funds that's not just for me to be able to move, but I think we have the money available. So I'll get those questions answered from the vendor and send them your way.
Before she moves forward, just to clarify, is there anybody that has a big opposition to this for some reason?
No, I don't.
Okay, good.
No.
I think we're all, I was assuming we were all supportive, but I just
Okay,
want to be clear.
sounds good.
Sounds great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.
She'll come back with the contract.
With the, yeah, when it's cleaned up. Okay, so we had some surplus items, we have a couple computers up here, what else?
Two tablets
Two
from
tablets.
CASA.
So,
They were starting to fail and not holding charge, so she sought a grant and received a grant to replace them, so.
so I guess for the time being, we'll just make note, if it's okay with the board, just make note in the record that CASA has given the commissioner, I don't know, plug them in and make sure if there's something that an office can use them for. Great, if not, we'll ditch them. I would assume they're junk or they'd still be using it. But
I'm telling
I don't
you.
mind spending 10 minutes to try to charge them up and see what they do. So, but it doesn't look like there's chargers with them, so that probably will not work. But we'll just worry about that later. Is there any other surplus items?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I do think we need to take a look at what's all downstairs. It's becoming a junkyard down there. There's desks, there's chairs, there's cabinets, there's tables, there's risers, there's
In the place the prosecutor's office is
in
using?
behind the curtain, and it's starting to come out of the curtain. We need to either do something with it, or we need to display it and say, hey, this stuff's here, but usually nobody wants it, and it just goes down there and sits.
Lady, sure. No, absolutely. Have we already advertised it out at this point?
Usually, like
Soon as
there was a table in my office, I sent it out, nobody wanted it,
Okay,
it got
so
stored
we've
down
already
there.
done it when we put it in surplus, yeah, I figured as much.
I think if something's broken, we throw it away after it's declared.
Right, but if
if
it's,
it's still usable, what I don't want to have happen is what we've had happen before is we throw away 10 filing cabinets, that's an exaggeration. We throw away a filing cabinet and a week later, so I'm gonna buy some new filing cabinets, you know, those metal.
But you don't know
Ford.
that.
So I'm
You
with
don't know that till
well,
after
and the
that.
only other thing is, before people purchase big things, go down there and look, but then it usually doesn't meet their needs, so they want something different.
Right.
So yeah, I'll go look at it, maybe we can ditch some
It's just,
stuff.
it's becoming,
Put them on gov deals for $1 apiece, and maybe somebody will come haul it away for us for $1.
well, I mean, it's getting to that point.
Right,
We
I mean, we
hate for
just
you
want,
guys to have to come and get it all.
want to go.
Or if it's of that low value,
But I
just
think
say
it's-
first come, first served.
It's down there, out of sight, out of mind, and then
I
it
have
just
a
sits.
dumpster too, so there you go. I have access to dumpsters, just saying.
You know a guy?
I know a guy. Just saying.
Well, let's, Mr. Schneider, do you have anything for the board today?
No, sir.
County auditor?
Yeah, nothing.
Okay.
It's in my notes.
So I just have a couple items and we'll go into public comment. I wanted to give you an update on the Veteran Service Office. I did send you a couple emails on that. I think I actually put one of these in front of your desk or in front of your spot over. So if you could, over the next, let's say, 2 days, because I've asked, Mr. Agrigan, I've just gone Nick now, but that makes it difficult here, because we've already got a Nick. I want to get with him this week and talk about some of these things, and he's being pretty thoughtful about the office, and he's saying things like, what is going to be our expectations and what are the roles going to be? What's our definition of success for the office? How does it fit into the broader county goals? I think he's being really thoughtful about what we, as the executives, what we expect, and what do we expect for advocacy on veterans issues? What situations do we want escalated to our attention, and which ones do we want him to handle? So for some of this, I've answered the questions with my perspective, but again, it's not a single executive board, it's a board of 3 people, so I don't want to make any decisions that are opposed to something that maybe one of the other commissioners is interested in. So please look those over the next 2 days, because I think I'm going to try to meet with him on Friday, so that I mean, I'll give you my opinions, but if you have opinions on some of these too, I think that that'd be the way to do it. For example, I clarified again on Friday that we want to be helpful to veterans, but primarily we want to be helpful to DuBois County veterans, because DuBois County taxpayers are paying for the office and the staffing there. And if we're serving Martin, Perry, Pike, whatever, because some of those counties don't have as good as strong as an office, we don't want to take away from local veterans by serving some other counties office people.
Right.
I think they said one of the offices is open for 4 or 6 hours a week. So at another county, so they just have one part-time person that comes and sits in there and helps people for a few hours a week. And so what are those people going to do? They can wait, or they can come to somewhere else that's more open. Also, we had detailed some discussions on space, staffing, space and staffing, really. So what I asked of VSO Nick is get in here for a month. Get in a month where you're doing this every day, because I don't want to make decisions based on 1 week, a couple weeks of information, right? Because he hasn't been in there that long. Get your feet really wet. Make sure that anything that you're requesting is going to be a legitimate need that is going to help the office long term.
Just so you know, the laws did change, that the veterans deductions are now credits, and they're gonna have to go down there and get something from the VSO to bring to us. So they will be busy over the next, once that starts in July.
I think they're aware of that, and yeah, they're taking that into, we can talk about that Friday as well. So the clerk, or the recorder's office holds DD 214, which is once the person is released, they have a copy of their service record that's condensed. And I think, is that one of the items?
That's one of the items.
And so a lot of the veterans have that recorded already. So if somebody wants it, they don't have to go dig it up at home, or they don't have to get it from the VA. So that's something that they're trying to get more veterans just to have it there, so that it's needed, and it's secured and locked, and it's non-public information. But anyway, it's a goal of mine to continue to improve that office and make us a veteran-friendly community. And I think the amount of benefit we get for the amount of cost that goes out is, it's a good deal for the community. So, anybody have any questions or comments on that stuff? No. Can you give Nick, VSO Nick, the access to his website page?
We've been working on that.
You've done that already? And then I'm gonna get him, I've taken off the former VSO, the Facebook page, and I'll get him connected on that so that he can do that on his
Well, we're
VSO
working with
page.
him on that. We also gave him access to the Amazon account, and we've been working on some of that.
And they've got a new fax copy machine, which is improving their efficiency too.
Well, we gave him a new fax number, so now they have it in the office.
Historically, they've had problems with a veteran bringing 100 pages of documents. They got to scan 2 or 3 of them, and it just was a mess. And now it does it efficiently. And so this VSO is gonna be different than any that we've ever had before, and he'd rather have no paper. And right now, we've got four file, whatever you call those things, this file cabinets with 4 drawers in them, and we just got all kinds of health information and personal information, and it's just safer if we have it digital and have it in an appropriate place digitally instead of in person.
No, they just took a copy scanner out of there and brought it over to my office, so I don't know if that's surplus or, I'm trying to find out for it.
So please, like I said, in the next couple of days, if you could give me your feedback, or if you just want me to run with you, let me know that too, but I'd love to have your feedback if you have any, and I'll get with him this week.
Any, green folder?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's next.
Thank you.
Regarding solar, again, the NFPA 855 document, it's the document that talks about the fire, basically the rules around fire, and those things updated change over time. One's in the mail for us, so there's a hard copy coming from AES, purchased that, and they mailed it last week, so I'm not sure if it's coming to the auditor's office or my home. So we've got that coming, so I know the public has asked for that. I don't have a whole lot else on that solar. I think I mentioned it earlier that representatives from both of those organizations will be in to answer to some of the public concerns. I think the final thing I have is that it's, I know it's early in the year, but it is time for 2027 budget considerations to start. A couple things that I thought about for next year. Crisis Connection, when they came, I don't think she gave us a direct, give me money for next year for our organization, but I think that was the underlying request. It is, hey, we'd love to have some support. We do a lot for the community, so I guess we have to consider if we want to do any support to Crisis Connection. I think we need to talk about opioid money, what we will have available and what we will budget for next year. I thought about this weekend. I don't know if either of you have any thoughts on this, but do you think we need to consider doing any improvements to the chamber, this chamber where we meet, or do something different, go somewhere else, do something? Because generally it's like this where we have a couple people in the crowd and it's not a big deal, but we've had many times over the last several years talking about Mid-States Corridor, or talking about solar. In the past, when we've talked about doing the jail building, we just don't have the room. And there's people in the hallway and they don't have access. So
Any room at the gym that would be able to, I mean.
you mean an alternate location?
Yeah.
The bad thing about that is if there's people like this, it's very convenient to have it here, because when the clerk needs to come over, we don't waste her time.
Understand.
I don't know. I mean, I hate to spend $400,000 to give us a nice meeting room like Jasper has, where there's tiered seating, but I don't like that the public doesn't get full access to our
If
meeting
there's
rooms.
any way for us to even do that, our current aspect.
Yeah, I don't even know what that would look like, and we can't take the prosecutor's office space, they need it. Downstairs is as small as this.
Yeah. There's nothing in the courthouse. The jail, they have used probably every single bit of space that they had.
I would say that even the jail, they do have a nice large area for meetings,
They do,
but they're not gonna want 90 people from the public having to come into a private part of the jail.
Right.
That doesn't work.
And that doesn't need to get there.
Well, do you care to give an opinion on what you think about the space here?
I do think they're gonna get, I mean, as more topics come up in the future, you're gonna get more participation from the public. I mean, going, besides Mid-States Corridor, then you're gonna have data center issues coming up, different things, so, but I don't know of another space. I mean, is there something in a room at the public library then?
I would guess too, that if we knew that the crowd was coming, we'd go to Jasper. Jasper would let us use their space, and they probably have twice the capacity. I think I counted, we had 20, no, I don't know how many.
You're right under 30 chairs.
29 chairs or something in here, and so Jasper, I would assume, has double that at least. So I guess if we knew there was a big crowd. But today, when I walked in, I'm like, is there gonna be 50 people here?
Right.
Or is there gonna be nobody here? Because people,
It could probably.
I think if the agenda gets out to the public ahead of time and you know what's on, you're gonna have an idea.
But I usually don't know that till Thursday or Friday.
I
And
understand.
then it changes Friday afternoon.
Yep.
The VUJ campus would probably help us out too if needed, but again, we gotta know.
The space and the tech room.
for example, if, we're in the early stages of talking about zoning, I bet that might be the next thing where you got people that, half the people think you're a genius for doing it, half of them think it's the worst idea there ever is.
That's a good point.
And we may have a large amount of people wanting to do that. So I don't have a solution, other than I guess we've talked about some. If we know it's going to be a big issue, we could have it in an alternative location. Plus, if we had it like a place like BU, there'd be better parking. Because here,
Just have to have internet access so I can stream.
I don't think that's a problem out there.
no, I think they've got it.
Like I said, the tech building has got that space.
Okay, so that was my third part, was budget considerations. And then solid waste, facilities, veteran service officers, staffing and facilities. And this will be my last one. With the rental, we've had somebody use the rental program already, or we have not yet?
Okay. When thinking in June.
Like, would it make sense to have that budget under the commissioners, or is it good to have each office, them do a claim out of their own travel budget?
Well, that's what the ordinance, or the policy says now, that they have to bring you a claim when they want to register.
I just wanted to ask for you, would it be simpler if it came out of a different area, or is this work just fine?
I don't know, haven't done it.
Okay.
But to me, if I go somewhere, I would use my travel budget, that's what my travel budget's for.
I didn't
It would pay
know,
me mileage, so now it's gonna pay my vehicle, if I rent a vehicle.
I think I'm just open to, if it makes more sense to take 5% out of everyone's budget and put it into a single budget for rentals for some reason, if that would help you.
That'd be up to council, I guess.
If it doesn't, that's fine. That's all I have. Any last chance, anybody?
No, sir.
Do you have anything new from, I saw Mr. Leakin stopped in, Levi?
It's right there.
Oh, he's right there. I thought you, you have anything?
No, I did not. I'm sure you brought up what I had.
He didn't do a very good job of you.
It's all on you the next meeting, and not Levi.
He did fine on the engineer part, but on your part, I don't know.
Yeah, Levi said you're gonna do his next.
Yeah.
Next.
Okay.
Oh, poor Dolly.
Yeah.
All right, a little bit of public comment. Anything, sir? Okay, looks like we have none.
Oh my God, I don't know how to act.
I did want to mention in my agenda items there that I know we had some concerns on some drive entrances to the Alpine Solar area. I just wanted to let the public know that I will go out and look at each one of those. Concern with the stop sign that was damaged, hit, not sure we're looking into that as well. So I will go out and look at those. I just wanted to let them know.
Okay.
All those drive entrances have to be inspected before the county gives their final blessing.
Sure.
For adequate site distance and cul-de-sacs and such.
I will say, when I was driving east to west on the road that you're coming from Huntingburg, you go off of First Street and it turns into Old 64 or whatever, there were a lot of, there was a sign to warn you of the next sign, to warn you of the next sign, to warn you that there was an entrance coming, that there were men working. I mean, there were probably 6 of them on one road that showed where the entrance was, but some of the complaints, there weren't any on some of the other locations. So I think they're doing really good with signage in some areas and maybe not as good on others.
Are we gonna have to do a vehicle count and everything else in order to put a 45 limit or 35 or whatever we decide on?
I'm going to look into that more. They do have temporary work site speed reductions.
Oh,
You
okay.
see those in a lot of state
Exactly.
roads. So I want to see what we're able to do, look through the code, work with Greg. Because talking about the 800 South, putting a 45 mile per hour sign out there, it got me thinking more as doing a more holistic approach, evaluating the entire job, seeing if it would make sense. I'm not saying this is the best route to go, I'm just talking options here. Seeing if it would make sense if we're able to do a speed reduction in the area in general, just during construction of the project. So I'm gonna evaluate that further and then follow up with the board. So,
And to your point earlier, I think you're probably right, 35 probably makes a lot more sense than 45, because I was 45 down that rock road, it would be pretty.
I know the code says that you have to have a reduction of at least 10 miles per hour from the current maximum posted speed limit. So in that case, a lot of those would have to get pushed down to 35, and that would help, as presuming people are actually following that. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into that further, as well as checking drive entrances, and any other thing that came along with it.
They have to follow certain criteria, sure. As the construction company that's doing all this, their signage and things like that, I mean, they
Yeah.
have to follow.
That's another good point you had, just so, again, it's for public awareness, there's a manual called Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. It's a document that's required to be followed, a lot of words in there shall, the contractor has to. That's for anyone that's doing work within public road right away.
Sure.
So that talks about signs and spacing of signs and lane restrictions, closures, tapers, barrels, any of that.
It's not any different than going
So-
down Highway 64 and they're working on a bridge and all that signage. I mean, I would think that would be different.
That's, they have to follow.
They have
UTC.
to, right? Just a thought.
But that's the thing, it's like the speed limit, just because there's rules there,
I know,
doesn't mean it's
I know.
followed. I mean, that's the argument from the public is, yeah, they're required to do it, but they're not doing it.
But in temporary speed zone, it has to be black on white, that's what makes it enforceable. So then at least work with the sheriff's department, if we reduce the speed, then it can be enforceable. But it take coordination with sheriff's department and the board and highway department, so look into it.
Thank you.
And as far as the maintenance to the road down there, 800 South mainly, there was 3 or 4 different spots that was getting soft from big trucks coming in and out. I had talked to Mike last Tuesday and again on Friday, and they are aware of that, and they are gonna fix them. They're gonna dig down, put riprap tubes, they're gonna put a good base underneath it. They are gonna fix it. As far as there's a couple of spots on blacktop on hot mix, they were gonna dig down the same way. They're just gonna have rock on top for now, because it's no use to come back in and fix it for right now. But whenever they're done with the job, they will come back and they will fix it properly, if not better.
Okay, that's good to know.
So,
We expected the roads to get damaged. It's inevitable.
It's a given.
I know, don't like driving down a road that used to be fine and now it's not fine. It is inevitable, and we will work with AES to make sure that it is fixed correctly, that,
And EDP for that matter.
yes.
Yeah, both of them.
I did talk to some other county engineers that had solar projects, and how did you go about this? What was your experience? One of them I had a 13-hour ride with one way to Arlington, Texas, so we got to talk. And roads did become heavily deteriorated. Some sections of the road that were chip sealed, they knew that if they try to fix it, it would be continuous. So some areas just turned to gravel temporarily. But after they were done, the solar company came through and gave them over 6 miles of asphalt road. So I can't say what's going to happen to each road as far as the end product, but they do have requirements through the road use agreement to put it back to the existing condition or better. Those conversations are a little early to be had right now as far as what it looks like, because we don't know the extent of the damage. They still have to make it safe and passable for the traveling public, but there will be times that they will be damaged, but the end result has to be existing condition or better, and we want better,
Better.
preferably.
Hopefully better.
I just want to share that with the public.
Do something else?
Since you're still here, I thought I would come back. I got some answers to those questions. They added, where we had in the agreement where it said poll workers, they added candidates
Yes.
to that part of it. The Twilio, whatever that word was, that's the company that they'll purchase the local phone number from. The last people that have to sign that agreement that's what that's listed under.
Okay.
And he said generally they don't ever, that company is whoever they'll buy the local phone number from is why they're on there. He said we shouldn't expect to have any interaction with them, but their information will go on the agreement just because they're a party to the matter.
So again, even though you're doing a digital, what accounts for a email to text, there has to be a phone number involved to get it out.
Yeah, the
Got it, that makes
local
sense.
number for that person who's receiving that text message.
Mhm.
He said they generally like the contracts or their agreements to be 3 years because of their investment on the upfront side of things. If it's an absolute no-go, they'll explore options to put something in, but he didn't want to add anything to that side of things. So based on what I know from the software and other clerks that use it today, I feel like that's not a problem for me, from my perspective of us using it. But if you want me to give a little pushback, I will.
So Mr. Schneider, the way that our required language is that we can get out at our will, right? I mean, pretty much, so.
30 days usually is what our language says, yes.
And you said you've already provided that to them?
I did share that with them.
So I'd say if they get that and they just say, yeah, these are fine, and they add it, then we're where we want to be, and if they don't, then
Okay.
what does the board feel? Let her do the 3 years, or?
Less would be better.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're adamant about it, and you're paying for it,
I'll see what they say.
Yeah, just.
He didn't. He sent me
We
sent me
prefer
back
to
the
have our
agreement.
required language.
He sent me back the agreement, but it didn't add our verbiage, so he just changed that where it said candidates to candidates and poll workers and candidates. So I'll verify with him that they're gonna add our verbiage to the end of the agreement. And if that's the case, then that'll be the solve for that.
I would assume they don't care who you text. It looks like there's a max number, and if you stay
Yeah.
within that, I don't know that.
Yeah.
But I felt like that protected you better if you put
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
who was on there.
Okay. You feel good about it at this point that I can go to the council
Yes.
and talk about moving money around? Okay, perfect.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
well, thank you for letting me come back.
Anybody else? Last chance. We'll close the meeting.
Mark, I saw Hadley gotta go too. I said, I
Yeah,
don't know what
thought
we were doing.
Go if we're.
They, they're, but of course, it wasn't.